Let me start by saying that I was a 10-year-old boy here in Delhi in 1945 when Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan and his older brother Dr. Khan Sahib stayed in our home. My father was Devdas Gandhi, so we had this apartment in Connaught Place. उस ज़माने में Connaught Place कहलाया जाता था, और वहाँ Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan and his older brother Dr. Khan Sahib, they stayed in our home for a few days. 1945, after they were released from the Quit India imprisonments, and of course before independence and before the tragedy of partition. So that was the first time I saw Badshah Khan. The last time I saw him was in 1987, a year before he died. He was visiting India. He was in Bombay. He was staying in RAJMOHAN. I happened to be in Bombay at the time, and I had the privilege of seeing him. He was not very well. He was lying in bed. So when I entered his room, he asked me to come as close as possible. He got me to sit at the edge of the bed. Then he brought me with his long arms close to himself. He brought my head close to his head, and he gave me on my forehead a kiss. And I could see his face from very close quarters. That was the last time I saw him. Before that, also once or twice during his visits in the 80s, I saw him, but I also saw him in his visit to India in 1969. 1969 was the year of the Gandhi centenary. It was also the year that saw lots of communal violence. And I will speak later about what Badshah Khan said in India, to Indian leaders, to the Indian people on that visit of 1969, but I just want to mention that. Then all of you know, or maybe you don't, that when he died in 1988, there was already this war taking place in Afghanistan. The whole world was involved in that war. Of course, Afghans were involved on different sides of the war. Badshah Khan died in Peshawar, but his wish was to be buried in Jalalabad, which was in Afghanistan, because he felt that the Pashtuns, the Pathans on both sides were the same, and that he should have the right to be buried in Jalalabad. When I wrote this book for my research, I went there a few times, 2-3 times. It was my good fortune in this book to give the names respectfully of his mother, of his sisters, of his first wife who died, and then his second wife who also died. Now, Badshah Khan wrote his autobiography, and some others have also written about him. But this is the only book which gives the names of these wonderful women associated to him, because of course we know of the reserve, the restraint that many Pashtuns have always had in talking publicly about their women. Their women should not become objects of public discussion. So even their names should not be given. But I felt that it was essential for the women and the girls and the men of the world to know the names of these wonderful people. And Badshah Khan's family were kind enough to share these names with me. And you will find these names also in this book. Both wives, one after the other, they died early. He had children from both. And I wonder how many of you know where his second wife is buried. आप में से किसी को कोई अंदाज है, जानकारी है कि कहाँ उनकी वाइफ buried है? Nobody knows. Does anybody know? Well, she is buried in Palestine. Now, we have not only forgotten Badshah Khan, we have forgotten the Palestinian cause. But it's very important for us to know that the Palestinian cause is a very crucial one for the world. And we have a special attachment to the Palestinian cause because Nambata was the name of the second wife. She is buried in Jerusalem. the Pathans, the Pashtuns, Pakhtuns, whatever word we want to use about them, they live in Afghanistan. They live in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is now the frontier province in Pakistan. Some of them are also in Balochistan. Of course, Pathans are found all over the world. But there is this very important area which now the Pakistanis call FATA, Federally Administered Tribal Areas, where a great many Pathans live. And during Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan's time, when his brother was Prime Minister of the frontier province, also for some time, and Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was the great leader of the Pashtuns, he and his brother, the Chief Minister or the Prime Minister, he was called then, were not allowed to cross the border from the settled areas to the tribal areas. They were not allowed to talk to the tribals. And we now know what is happening in those areas, the extremism or radicalism वगैरह वहाँ शुरू हो रही है या कायम है, जारी है वहाँ. But Badshah Khan wanted to go there. The British never allowed him to go. The British never allowed him or his brother to go to the tribal people. But he always had plans for the tribal areas. This is what he once said. I want to organize primary schools, civil dispensaries, centers for training technical hands for cottage industries among tribesmen. If the political department, British Zamane ka, honestly cooperates with me, I can promise big results in 5 years' time. Love can succeed where bombs have failed. So bombs are still continuing, but Badshah Khan said love can succeed where bombs have failed. I admit that old wounds inflicted by British imperialism will take time to heal. I want to work for their economic prosperity, but neither the British government nor the Pakistani government gave Badshah Khan the opportunity to work with the tribal areas, another great tragedy of history. About the betrayal that occurred, it is such a shameful chapter in our history. So I won't spend too much time on it. It's discussed in this book, of course. But that is a very important factor. So, as you said, we are now reclaiming Badshah Khan, Pashtun's restitution that we let them down. So this increases our responsibility to do something about his legacy. So when I was researching for this book, the Pathans there told me that in their opinion, of course different people may have their own opinions, they said that we have three great heroes of the Pathans. एक था शेर शाह सूरी, सब आप सबने उनका नाम सुना है, और दूसरा था अहमद शाह अब्दाली, although he's a more controversial figure. Many Sikhs in Punjab have their own assessment of Ahmad Shah Abdali. But the Pathans, both in Frontier Province, which is now in Pakistan, and in Afghanistan, have a very great regard for Ahmad Shah Abdali for what he did for the Afghans. And the third person in the history that they love, they honor, they admire is Badshah Khan. Sher Shah, Ahmad Shah, Abdul Ghaffar Khan. It's worth knowing. So, you know, there's a great poet of the Pashtuns called Khushal Khan Khatak. He wrote, translation, I hear the story of Behlol Lodi and Sher Shah. Then in days gone by, Pathans were kings in Hind. For 6 or 7 generations, theirs was the kingdom, and all the world wondered at them. So the Pathans also are very proud of their history. And many in Frontier Province in Pakistan link Badshah Khan with the great leaders of the Pashtuns over time. Not afraid of anything. You can kill me if you want. You can send me to jail if you want. You can separate me from my family if you want. But I will stick to the truth that I believe. I will obey my conscience. I will obey my conscience, whatever you may do. I'm willing to sacrifice. And there was another amazing quality of his, frankness, blunt speech. Now, it's very easy to be blunt with somebody you don't like. The Gandhi centenary saw communal riots in different parts of India, including in Gandhi's Ahmedabad. For 3 days in Delhi, Ghaffar Khan fasted for peace. Then he went to Ahmedabad, where he expressed disappointment on 18th October. He said, यहाँ के हिंदू सिर्फ हिंदू इलाके में काम करते हैं. He told them, get close to the Muslims. They are not outsiders, get close to them. Then on 24 November 1969, he addressed a joint session of both houses of parliament. That is when he also received the Bharat Ratna. What did he say to Parliament? Indian Parliament, both houses. Your revenue is from taxes and duties on liquor. You are forgetting Gandhi. You forgot the Buddha. You are now forgetting Gandhi. Then he mentioned in Parliament the cities where riots had taken place. Ahmedabad, Jabalpur, Ranchi, Rourkela, आपका इलाका, Jamshedpur, Indore, Malegaon, and said he was horrified that no one had been punished for rioting or killing. किसी को punishment नहीं मिली. He said to Parliament, your laws are only for show. And what did he say to India's Muslims? He recommended non-retaliation to them in the name of the Quran. He said, if you plant a slap after having been provoked by a slap, then what is the difference between the followers of the Quran and evildoers? What a man. When he met Indira Gandhi, Prime Minister, what did he say to her? Your father and Patel, behind Gandhiji's back, threw me and my Pashtuns to the wolves. To Indira's credit, she did not hold such bluntness against Badshah Khan, and she instructed a succession of ambassadors to Kabul and Pakistan to attend to Badshah Khan's needs. He was then in exile in Kabul. Of course, his commitment to non-violence. It's absolutely fantastic. Even at that time, people were amazed, and today when people hear about it, they are absolutely amazed. And on this last meeting that I had with him in Bombay, he again spoke about non-violence. The word he used for it was Adam Tashaddud. And he said that he links non-violence to patience. Patience. And he said that in the Holy Quran, the word which appears again and again and again and again and again is patience. So he said, I derive my non-violence from the Quran. So in March 1947, just a few months before India's independence, after the Congress Working Committee had said, all right, we will have partition. We want partition of Punjab. We want partition of Bengal. Let there be partition of India. So this is what, within a few days after that, this is what Badshah Khan said. I find myself surrounded by darkness. When I think of the future of India, I see no light. India is on fire. If India is burnt down, all will lose, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians. What can be achieved through love can never be achieved through hatred or force. The recent war in Europe showed what hatred can do. Gandhi had a secretary called Mahadev Desai, amazing man, amazing scholar. So as a result of that time, which the brothers had in Wardha, Mahadev Desai wrote a wonderful book called Two Servants of God, Badshah Khan and his older brother. The conversations were frank. Gandhi asked Ghaffar Khan whether his sister-in-law, who was a white woman, Dr. Khan Sahib had married before he went to study in Britain. Then in Britain he married another lady, a white lady. So Gandhi asks him, is your sister-in-law converted to Islam? What does Ghaffar Khan say? You will be surprised, I cannot say whether she is a Muslim or a Christian. She was never converted, that much I know, and she is at complete liberty to follow her own faith. I have never so much as asked her about it. So he is leaving his sister-in-law completely free. He is not interfering. He is respecting her. Then, so they have this wonderful time together. So they pick up stones from the village fields and they store them for use in future construction. Dr. Khan Sahib becomes a doctor for the community. He's a great doctor. But within a few days, 4 or 5 days, the British decide to arrest Ghaffar Khan again. He is having his reunion with his family after many, many years. But the reunion lasts only 4 or 5 days. So when he learns that he's being arrested, this is what Ghaffar Khan says to Jamna Lal Bajaj, who is their host in Wardha. It is all God's doing. He kept me out just for the time he wanted to use me outside. Now I must serve from the inside. What pleases him pleases me. So what willingness to accept tragedy, difficulty, blow, sorrow, separation. So when negotiations for independence were taking place, 45, 46, 47, there was also the Dalit question. Some of the negotiations are taking place in Shimla. Jinnah Sahib is there, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Maulana Azad, they're all in Shimla. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan is in Shimla. British there, viceroys are all there. So what does Gandhi ask Badshah Khan to do in Shimla? He says, go to the Dalit settlements. Find out how the Dalits are living. So Badshah Khan and Gandhi are together trying to see how Dalits are living in Shimla. Badshah Khan reported to Gandhi that the Dalit quarters were not fit for animals, much less for human beings. Gandhi was filled with anger and grief. On their return to Delhi, Gandhi and Badshah Khan stayed together at the Valmiki Sweepers Colony on the edge of Reading Road, now called Mandir Marg. And at evening prayer meetings in the colony, Badshah Khan recited verses from the Quran. Then Ghaffar Khan said, on one of these occasions, prayer in whatever language or whatever form was prayer addressed to one and the same God. This is what Gandhi believed. This is what Ghaffar Khan believed. Prayer is addressed to one and the same God. And when, after Nehru Patel had agreed that yes, we won't make a fuss about the Pakhtun area, partition ho jaye, whatever may happen to the Pakhtuns, we can't worry too much about it. We have other things to worry about. Then what does Gandhi try? He says to Ghaffar Khan, you and Jinnah should at least have some settlement. At least Pakistan में कुछ आपको आज़ादी मिले, आप बातचीत करो. मैं माउंटबैटन से कहता हूँ कि ये facilitate करे Jinnah और बादशाह खान की meeting. तो हुई meeting. But in the meeting, Jinnah was not at all responsive. And Badshah Khan became even sadder, and Gandhi also became very sad. So this is what Gandhi says, and here you find his assessment of Badshah Khan. In the very early hours of 19th June, he says to his grandniece Manu, who is assisting him, I cannot sleep. The thought of Badshah Khan has robbed me of my sleep. I am seeing more and more of his deeply spiritual nature. He has patience, he has faith, he has non-violence, he has true humility. Countless Pathans have enshrined him in their hearts as their uncrowned king. For such a person, there can be no defeat. I'm sure he will not shrink from any sacrifice or suffering, but he will die serving the Pathans with his last breath. He lives only for that. He is a man of penance. He is a man of illumination. He is a man with love for all and hatred towards none. Now, you all know something about Gandhi, although these days people don't even read much about Gandhi, so you may not know enough about him. But you know something about him. But one thing that is remarkable about Gandhi is he was a very good judge of human beings. And his portrayal, his assessment of human beings was quite remarkable. And here is how he has assessed Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. What did Badshah Khan think about such matters? When he was in prison, there was somebody who was reading the Quran. And Badshah Khan read the Quran very diligently with a Muslim scholar. However, according to Badshah Khan in his own autobiography, this religious scholar soon dropped out of his teaching the Quran to Badshah Khan, accusing me of giving my own interpretation to the text. He was a blind follower of tradition and could not appreciate an independent interpretation. One village cleric in a village in Pashtun area told Badshah Khan, how can you have unity with idol-worshipping Hindus? कैसे बात कर रहे हो? कैसे इनसे आपकी unity हो सकती है? So this is Badshah Khan's reply to him. Don't some of us also worship at tombs? How are the Hindus less devotees of God when I know that they believe in one God? Why do you despair of Hindu-Muslim unity? Look at the fields over there. The grain sowed therein has to remain in the earth for a certain time. Then it sprouts, and in due time it yields hundreds of its kind. The same is the case about every effort in a good cause. It may take a long time, but there will be Muslim-Hindu unity. Badshah Khan said, Gandhi said. He had patience. Question is whether we have patience or not. Once he was asked about the possibility of dying. What do you think about it? Are you not worried? What is his reply? If I die, I will be with God. If I live, God will be with me. So he was ill in the mid-1980s. And our ambassador in Afghanistan was Dikshit, the well-known Mani Dikshit, J.M. Dikshit, otherwise known as Mani Dikshit. And काफ़ी इनकी बातें होती थी. So in the hospital, there was not enough care. And his brother, Dr. Khan Sahib, with whom he had differences, but he was his doctor and brother, and he was dead. So in his lonely state, in his ill state, when he was not receiving enough warmth or care in the hospital, he remembered his brother. So he says to Dikshit, my brother who was a doctor told me that if a doctor really loves his patient, he can remedy all illnesses by just placing his hand on the patient's chest. I have given you some idea of the character of this remarkable man. But also from what I have said, you have an idea of the relevance of this man today. The relevance of this man today in the world. You think of Syria, you think of Egypt, you think of Palestine, think of Pakistan, you think of India. We need a man like Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. That is why I'm so pleased and so glad that you've instituted this series of lectures, this center. So let us make a serious attempt to recapture his legacy, to describe his legacy, to fight for the ideals for which he fought. Okay? Thank you very much.